Success can be a terribly difficult thing to achieve, especially when it seems like every time you try to do something, it goes completely wrong. Now, this video has faced more, I guess you would say, production problems than I would have ever imagined. Well, first of all, this wasn't the video I intended to make. I was looking for a different topic, and this one just kind of fell in my lap. But okay, that's fine. We can do that. I had camera and lighting issues, script problems, and after I finished shooting all the video the first time, I noticed there was a piece of cheese right there. And so I deleted everything that I had filmed so far. And since then, I spent a couple of days in the hospital. That's my son. Chihuahua toenails. Do you hear the lawnmower? Train's coming. Wow. One of the really frustrating things when you're working on some kind of spiritual lesson is that in the process of preparing the lesson, you're probably going to be challenged with exactly the same issues that you're trying to teach someone else. That's what has happened here. But I'm going to try to practice what I preach and get through this. So, here we go. So, what does it really mean to be successful? I mean, is it just that you did something that turned out really great? Or is it that you prevailed in the face of a lot of obstacles? Even if the results ended up being kind of... Now, I'll be honest, I'm not really one for the kid's glove approach. If I'm doing something that I don't need to be doing, I don't want someone to hint around and, try to make me aware of it. Just come out and tell me, hey, dude, you're being stupid. Hey, dude, you're being stupid. So if any of these points that I'm about to lay out here sound insensitive, well, sorry, not sorry. I think the best way for any of us to approach life is honestly, openly, directly. And if you happen to get some feedback along the way that you don't like, well, you've got two choices. You can either get mad about it, or you can examine yourself and see if there's anything to that. So, let's get into this list. Number 1, make a commitment. One that is meaningful, one that you truly believe in, one that does not hinge on someone else's approval. And if it seems evil to you to serve the Lord, choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve. But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Basically, you have to know what you want. You have to know what it is you're going after. You have to define your goals. Now, I don't want to sound like a Nike commercial, but
just do it.
No matter what your goal is, you can find someone out there who's going to tell you, no, you shouldn't do this, you can't do this, whatever. If you keep waiting for everybody in your life to be on board, you're going to do a whole lot of waiting. And not much else. Number 2, once you have chosen what this commitment will be, do not falter, do not give up, and most of all, do not expect it to be easy. Now, Proverbs 24:10 says, if you faint in the day of adversity, your strength is small. This is the exact lesson that I've apparently been learning throughout the course of this video. As a matter of fact, right now, my son is out there working on some stuff, and every now and then, his machinery... Now, the Apostle Paul also faced more than his fair share of adversity, but he never gave up. Here are some of the things that he had to say about adversity. From the Jews, 5 times I received 40 stripes minus 1. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned. 3 times I was shipwrecked. A night and a day I have been in the deep. In journeys often, in perils of water, in perils of robbers,
in perils of my own countrymen, in perils of the Gentiles, in perils in the city, in perils in the wilderness, in perils in the sea, in perils among false brethren, in weariness and toil, in sleeplessness often, in hunger and thirst,
in fastings often, in cold and nakedness. Whoa, bummer, dude.
Oh, just you wait. There's more.
And he said to me, My grace is sufficient for you. My strength is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, most gladly I will rather boast in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Therefore I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in needs, in persecutions, in distresses, for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong. So basically what Paul is saying is what doesn't kill you makes you strong. Number 3. Be prepared to sacrifice other things for that which you have chosen. Most of all,
Free time.
I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. That idea of a living sacrifice could really fill up its own video. But for the moment, let's just say that nobody gets anything accomplished by sitting around doing nothing. Now, don't get me wrong, we all need rest. The Bible, in fact, makes a big deal about rest. But what we're talking about here is time that would be better spent doing something else. You know, you're not going to accomplish a whole lot if you're just sitting around all day watching YouTube videos.
Move along.
Number 4, you do not have a right to succeed. Success follows hard work. What you do have is the right to work towards something and the freedom to fail. In Proverbs chapter 6, we see a great illustration of the contrast between someone who wastes all their time and someone who spends it very diligently working towards something. Go to the ant, you sluggard. Consider her ways and be wise, which having no captain, overseer, or ruler, provides her supplies in the summer and gathers her food in the harvest. How long will you slumber, O sluggard? When will you rise from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall your poverty come on you like a prowler, and your need like an armed man. Hard work and efficient use of time are indispensable elements of being successful. But there is one very painful lesson that we all have to learn sooner or later. No matter how much you plan, how well you use your time, or how hard you work. Number 5, failure is a part of life. You will fail sometimes, but failure is not defeat, unless you give up. For a righteous man may fall 7 times and rise again. Blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial, for when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life which God has promised to those who love him. Now, if you're a basketball fan, or if you were even alive in the 90s, you probably know the name Michael Jordan. Some people actually say that Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player who ever lived. Now, whether or not that's true is debatable. But Jordan was part of the Chicago Bulls team, which pulled off a three-peat in the NBA championship back in the 90s.
Twice.
And here's what he has to say about failure. I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. Number 6, when you fail, do not blame others. Learn from your failure and work harder to achieve future success. Now, no matter who you are, you're going to fail sometimes. We all do. But it's only when we fail that we learn exactly what it is we need to do in order to get better. And there it was, all overgrown with thorns. Its surface was covered with nettles, its stone wall was broken down. When I saw it, I considered it well. I looked on it and received instruction. He who keeps instruction is in the way of life, but he who refuses correction goes astray. You know that saying about how doing something over and over again the same way while also expecting somehow to get better results is the definition of insanity? Yeah, that's what this one pretty much boils down to. Whenever you fail, you need to use that as a stepping stone. Build a new, better step each time, and just keep climbing until you have reached your goal. Now, unfortunately, there are people who want to reach the goal and grab the prize without doing all the hard work. Number 7, mediocre results do not deserve great rewards. If you want great rewards, work harder and raise your own personal standards. The lazy man does not roast what he took in hunting, but diligence is man's precious possession. So you've gone hunting and you've killed a deer. Congratulations! That's the end of the story, right? Well, if your entire goal was to murder Bambi, then yeah, I guess you're done. See, really the point of the hunt is not to kill the deer. The point is to bring in food. So after you've killed the deer, you've still got a lot of work ahead of you. You have to get it home, clean it, skin it, gut it, butcher it, and get it prepared to cook. You have to store it, maybe freeze it. Eventually you get to cook it and you eat that wonderful juicy venison steak. But if you stop after you've killed the deer and you don't do any of the other steps, you don't get that juicy steak. What you will get is a stinky,
Rotten, corpseified.
carcass. Number 8, great work and fabulous results often go unnoticed and unappreciated. During these times, the work must be its own reward. The unappreciated genius is just almost a cliche in modern society. Now, cliches, like stereotypes, exist because a lot of times they're true. Sometimes you will get amazing, spectacular results, but the only feedback you get. But the Bible has an answer for this. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for human masters. A good name is to be chosen rather than great riches. Now, we all know that we're supposed to do the right thing. A person of good character doesn't need a pat on the back all the time in order to keep going and doing what they're supposed to be doing. But you know, sometimes you will get that pat on the back. What do you do then? Number 9, when you succeed, acknowledge the work of those who helped you achieve that success before you accept your own pat on the back. When you are congratulated, simply say, thank you. When pride comes, then comes disgrace, but with the humble is wisdom. Let another man praise you, and not your own mouth, a stranger, and not your own lips. You probably don't want, or really even need, another sermon about how pride goeth before a fall. We've all heard that one a lot of times, so I'm just going to leave it out there. However, I should mention that folks can spot a phony a mile away, so false humility isn't going to get you very far. Something else to consider here is that if you're an introvert, like myself, you're probably going to be your own worst critic, and you're going to have a tendency to downplay anything that you accomplish. You may even put yourself down and belittle your own achievements quite a bit of the time.
Now you quit that right now!
So if the spotlight makes you uncomfortable, especially if someone's trying to congratulate you publicly, then the smile and thank you advice really goes a long way. Now, I had to learn to do this myself, so trust me when I tell you this. When you start to just say thank you after being congratulated, that internalizes that feeling of accomplishment. Instead of it being just a kind of vague intellectual knowledge that, okay, someone apparently likes what I've done, it really starts to become more of a part of you. By simply saying thank you, you set aside all of the self-deprecating feelings that you may have, and you really start to appreciate yourself and your accomplishments. The so-called attitude of gratitude has many, many different applications. In this case, it helps to build you up for your future successes. Which, of course, brings us to our final point. Number 10. Do not think that success brings an end to the hard work. It simply means that you are ready to work toward the next goal. Brethren, I do not count myself to have apprehended, but one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind, and reaching forward to those things which are ahead, I press toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of God in Christ Jesus. When you've come to the end of a journey and reached your goal, sure, you need to take a moment to catch your breath. But after that moment has passed, there's always going to be something else that you can do.
Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming.
Now, before I wrap all this up, I should mention that these 10 principles are not just for things that are huge, life changing projects. These are things that you can do every day. I mean, for myself, a lot of times, just getting up in the morning can be a struggle.
Washing the dishes.
Let the dog out.
Feed the cats.
Litter box! The laundry. Again
And again.
Every day brings us numerous opportunities to practice being more successful. And it's in those small moments, those little tiny details, that we begin to find the building blocks that we can use to build a truly successful life.